So these birds are non-native, but they came in on their own. Nobody brought them in. When I was a kid, I'm 70. When I was a kid, if I went with my dad down in Florida, we'd see those birds, the babouls or whatnot.
Yeah.
We'd see those birds, and every year they're a little further north, and now they're on up, probably almost to Atlanta, which I guess you could, you might see that as climate change. I don't know whether it is or not, but you could.
Yeah. It's just funny to watch the relationship between the cows and them.
Oh, it's symbiosis.
Yeah.
It's perfect. They eat grasshoppers and flies, and the grasshoppers eat my grass, and the flies suck blood out of my cows. So they're just very popular. I love seeing them here. They get here in April and leave in November, and I rejoice when they get here, and I mourn when they leave. You don't see them on many farms like in these numbers, but because I don't use any pesticides, it's a good place for them.
Now, whenever they leave in November, from that point when they're gone until they come back, are there any issues that the cows face that they, wouldn't face during that time because they're here?
Well, that's when it's cold and you don't have grasshoppers and flies. That's why they leave.
Yeah.
So they get here when they need to be here, and they leave when it's time to go.
It feels like, just talking Georgia and just Savannah, this to me is what I think, looking just with all the oak trees, or not the oak, yeah.
Yeah, those oak trees, yeah.
Oak trees and then pine trees too.
I love the term teeming with life. It's a teeming with life. That's beautiful. And that's teeming with life right now.
Now, 25 years ago, what did this look like?
These were fields. They grew cotton, corn, peanuts. That was planted pine trees. I plant a lot of trees. I never plant a monoculture like that. I bought this farm, and I thinned the heck out of it so that hardwoods can come up in there. That's a monoculture, which is as hateful to me as a cotton field or a corn field or a hog house or a chicken house. Nature, symbiosis is many different species of plants and animals and microbes living in symbiotic relationships with each other. Every creature is doing something beneficial for the rest of the population, and it gets out of balance. And sadly, when it gets out of balance, the modern farming way of handling it is to kill something. Homicide means kill people. Pesticide means kill pests. Insecticide, nematicide, fungicide. It's all about killing something.
Because that's what you wrote in your book too, is I always come outside looking for something to kill.
Every day. Every day I was trained to look for something to kill, and I could find it. And I knew how to kill it.
Yeah, we're looking at.
I was hot. This wouldn't have been here. I would have sprayed this with Gray Zone P&D, and you're supposed to put a pint. I'd have put a quart, and it wouldn't be here. But it would have killed all the clover. And so I believe that the first pesticides, came from the war effort, and somebody noticed that pesticide was designed to kill something, did something that was perceived as beneficial for the farm. But what was true was it was also doing some things that were not beneficial for the farm, but the things that were beneficial showed up immediately. The things that were not beneficial, it took a long time, maybe decades for it to show up. And I don't think there was any ill intent in that. It's just the way it evolved. But now today, I believe that pesticide companies are fully aware that the pesticides they sell today for a benefit are going to enable them to sell another pesticide tomorrow and another one the next day, and it's just perpetual. And it's all about killing stuff, and this is a living system.
That's what I always find, it's funny but not funny at the same time. Just kind of what you're saying is you use one spray, and eventually they have resistance, so you get a new one that's more lethal, that does more damage, and it's just rinse, repeat.
There's that, and there's the fact that that pesticide you put out didn't just destroy the species you thought was a pest. It destroyed it. It destroyed some other stuff too, and that just throws the system out of balance. So you're gonna have to spray another one, and another one, and another one, and there's no end to it. And there's a lot of profit being made by the pesticide manufacturer.
Well, that's one thing I've noticed on my travels too, is talking to folks that live near other farms that their fields are sprayed. They'll talk about how certain aspects of their front yard or bushes or gardens just years later after sprays have still not regrown.
Yeah.
It's just completely dead.
Yeah. Well, I used to spray all my pastures every year with Gray Zone P&D, and it did a great job killing the things I wanted killed, but it also adversely affected my trees, the big hardwood trees I wanted to be here. Not at one time. I didn't say, doggone, that killed that tree, but the tree would go into decline, and that's what was doing it.
Now, 20 to 25 years later, are you still seeing the effects of all the sprays in these fields that you've been using?
I'm not saying there's no effect out there, but 25 years later, all these products have a half-life. They break down in time. And some of them have a very short half-life, and they go away pretty quickly. Some of them have a much longer half-life. And I have bought farms that were planted in corn or cotton or peanuts, and 2 or 3 years later, I could still see the pesticide application rows in the grass. Just wasn't quite as good as it's supposed to be. 36-inch rows, you still see it. It'll eventually break down. Nature will win. But it doesn't mean we're not doing a lot of harm in the shorter run. Nature bats last.
Can you elaborate more on that? That nature bats last?
All of these horribly harmful things we do to the environment, we're short term. We'll go away, and those things we do go away, and nature will overcome it in time. I think one of the worst things we do is drive species of plants or animals or microbes into extinction. And when we do, we upset the balance of nature, but it'll regain its balance eventually. It may take dozens or hundreds or thousands of years, but it will be all right. Nature's powerful, but we can do a horrible amount of damage in the short run, but it is in the short run, not in terms of our 60, 70, 80-year-old lifespan, but in terms of nature, thousands of years.
And I mean, it kind of goes to the whole extraction, because that's what a lot of industrial agriculture really is extraction. Just maximum yields, really short-term thinking, like you're saying, because you're not thinking about what this happens.
So nature yields an abundance. All that coal and oil and gas in the ground we've been living on the last 100 years. That's the abundance of nature from the era of the dinosaur. Everything from the sun, the cycles of nature, the energy cycle from the sun, the water cycle from the rain, the microbial cycle, the mineral cycle from rocks, all these cycles of nature generate there's a symbiotic relationship, and it generates an abundance. And then, like I said, the fossil fuel was the abundance of that era. Today, I don't think we're generating much of an abundance. We're generating yield, but it's offset by losing species, losing organic matter in the soil, losing. So it's, you know, what we're doing is really, really bad, and sadly, somebody's going to have to pay for it. And you know, I got children and grandchildren, and I hope it's not too costly for them. Probably won't be me paying for it directly. I mean, I'm 70. It'll probably happen after my lifetime. But I do want us on White Oak Pastures to do the things that we should be doing to keep that price from being so high here. Now, I can't affect what happens all over the state, all over the country, all over the world, but I can control White Oak Pastures.
Now, when speaking to your two children that are, you know, eventually passing this down to, how do you go about that when talking with them long term about pretty much just everything you just covered?
Well, I mean, I tell them just like I'm telling you, because they've heard me say it repeatedly, and they'll continue to hear me say it till I die. But you know, I certainly have not figured it all out, but I figured a lot of it out, and it's my job to convey to the next generation the things that I figured out, and hopefully they'll figure out some more and some more and some more, and we'll regain the wisdom that prior generations had. You know, I certainly don't know it all by any means. I know a lot more than I used to. I know a lot more than I learned at the University of Georgia. But you got to really think outside the box.
My last question, because you just mentioned just University of Georgia, and then going back to, you know, the education and schooling and internship programs you have here. What would you recommend for somebody that might be interested in learning? Should they go to college for that, or, you know, try to find someone like White Oak that has internships?
Well, it's subject to change, but today I don't know of any colleges that I think are. I mean, I hadn't researched it, but I don't know of any colleges. Land grant universities are not going to be the place to go. They are too dependent upon the industrial ag for financing. So that's going to be one of the last places you'll go. The other colleges, and I've not spent time with it. You know, I told you I graduated from the University of Georgia. I put all 4 of my children through 4 years of college. I'm not putting grandchildren through college unless they've got a career in mind that requires it. If they come back here and farm, no, we're not going to college and learn that. We'll learn that here. Mm-hmm. If you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer or a school teacher, then we'll talk about college. She's curious. We're weaning those calves next week. These calves were born starting Thanksgiving for 4 months, 4-month calving season. She's one of the younger ones.
Now, how old do you typically go for whenever you decide to slaughter?
It's weight, not age.
Weight, okay.
1,200 pounds.
1,200 pounds?
We got a good set of scales. I mean, I don't know what her birthday is, you know.
Because that's just another interesting thing too, just on the topic of beef and, you know, the grain finished beef versus fully grass-fed and finished is the time of it all. Because the huge tallow craze with, say, Steak and Shake and whatnot, I remember seeing people online start making all these demands of wanting fully grass-fed and finished, you know, regeneratively tallow, but then thinking on how low our inventory is of cattle. If we were to just have, say, 20 million new cattle for grass-fed and finished, that's going to take years, and most folks don't understand that either. Just
well, you're right, but you know, people aren't going to convert that quickly. I mean, it's a pretty heifer.
How, for the taste of your ground beef too, actually, because we actually, whenever we were in Charleston, I saw some in Publix and bought some. Comparing that to other grass-fed and finished, what's all goes into the taste of your ground beef? Because it tastes really good. I'm not just saying that just because we're here. Yeah, the color and everything is so good. How can you do that?
Well, I don't know exactly what you're comparing it to, but so much of the ground beef in this country is from 50% fat trim. When you slaughter in an industrial slaughter plant a 13 or 1400 pound feedlot fed steer, you get a tremendous amount of a product called 50% fat, 50% lean. It's the fat, and it's not edible. I mean, what you gonna do with that?
Yeah.
So what they do with it is they bring in I've got I think I'm on that bed. They bring in super lean beef from Uruguay, Australia, New Zealand, wherever, and blend it together. Now that super lean beef from overseas is not good. And that 50% tallow is not good. But you put them together, you make something that's marketable. Now, is it good? Well, you just said that it's not as good.
No, not at all.
But you know, it's I really want people to eat good food. I'm very aware there are people who can't afford good food. The fact is, it costs me more to produce ground beef like this than it does bringing in inedible lean meat and inedible fat and putting them together. It costs me more. I got to get more for it. I don't want anybody to go to bed hungry. And you know, I'd rather poor people eat that, what I think of as undesirable ground beef, than to go to bed hungry.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not, radical enough to just rail for that kind of food to go away. I don't want anybody hungry. So.
It's a very challenging problem because then it just goes back to the whole big ag, big tech, all of that controls it. On Brazil with JBS and the Menendez brothers and all of the garbage they've done.
Well, and people make a lot of money on it. You know, you can that 50% tallow is cheap. You can look it up. It's online. See what it sells for. It's cheap. The imported super lean meat is cheap.
Very cheap.
You put the two together and you get something you can get $4 or $5 or something a pound for it. There's a lot of profit in that.
Mm-hmm. But even for that, who gets the money? It's none of the actual farmers and ranchers. It's
oh no. Those farmers in South America, Central America, Australia sold that beef cheap, and those packers sold that tallow cheap. So this is the big meat companies.
And then they also, I don't know, the more I just learn about JBS and Brazil and that history, it's just infuriating too, because they're decimating the rainforest, and then so the average consumer just assumes all agriculture, especially with cattle, equals destruction of our earth, because that's what others are doing. And so it's just having to push back to all of that. It's that's why I always say too, shake the hand that feeds you. It's
Well, you know, all this talk about cattle destroying the planet. Those cattle are not destroying the planet. Those cattle are adding organic matter to this land. They're doing all kind of good things. Now, industrial beef, grind, a feedlot, wading in manure and fecal dust, or depending on how wet it is, that's bad for the earth. All that research you see quoted about it is true. I'm not saying it's a lie, but it's feedlot animals. There's on my website, whiteoakpastures.com, there's a scientific work done by a company called Qantas. Qantas is from Chicago. They were not trying to make me look good, but they did a what's called a LCA, life cycle assessment, on this farm, and found out that we are sequestering more carbon than we're putting up. Read it. It's a scientific work.
I'm going to read that because I've not heard.
Yeah, it's on my website, LCA, life cycle assessment done by Qantas.
Well, even where's if we could actually, the last thing too, Christian, if we want to show that cow patty, because I think actually if we could just talk on.
The dung beetles today, 50% will fly in and get in that manure. They'll dig 18-inch vertical shafts down it, lay the eggs in the bottom, and then pack it with the most nutrient-dense part of that manure. And then those eggs will hatch, and the neonate will eat its way out, and it'll go and do it again. And that does several things. Number one, for me, is that is a breeding ground for horn flies and face flies, which are a problem with cattle, a pest with cattle. And when those dung beetles aerate it, then it's not a great place for for face flies and horn flies to raise. The other thing is, it keeps those nutrients from stratifying. Instead of just being right up here on the top, they go down 18 inches. It's just wonderful. It's like it's symbiosis. It's just nature working together to generate a benefit, an abundance.
And then when you say nutrients, what nutrients are we talking?
Nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, magnesium, sulfur.
And then why is that also just so beneficial for the ground? Because especially comparing that to feedlot beef.
Well, it benefits the grass. Now, the grass puts its roots. Those beetles penetrate the hard pan, so the roots of the grass can go down in there and then bring that back up. It's cycling. We got this land here is about 5.5% organic matter. And that organic matter is cycling. Some of it is volatilizing and going back up, but other parts are that carbon in that manure used to be carbon dioxide, but a plant photosynthesized it and turned it into plant tissue, which is protein, energy, fat. The cow ate it, so it's everything cycles. We tend to want to make everything so linear, but nature is cyclical.
And then how long do you have these cows we're standing at?
One day. They move in the morning.
One day.
Every day. Every day the cows move. And it doesn't require horses and dogs. They know they're going to move in the morning.
That's one interesting thing when I worked on the farm. It's they know it and look forward to it.
Oh yeah.
They will let you know that they're ready for some new grass.
So they've about eaten this. But we won't move them until in the morning. Next week we're going to take these calves off of them and preg check them and turn the cows back out, and then replace the ones that don't get pregnant with those heifers I showed you.
Now with all these trees and just continuing to, I guess, grow that, do you plan to do any agroforestry?
Yes.
Is that what this is?
Yeah. It's not there yet. I mean, I bought this farm. I thinned those trees. Those tall plants you see growing up there are dog fennels.
Like the ones in between each trees, essentially.
The tall stuff you see out there.
Okay.
Is dog fennel, and that's not. Cows don't eat dog fennel. It doesn't hurt anything. It's just not good for the cows to eat. But dog fennel is very opportunistic. So when it sees a bare spot, it grows. But I'll burn that off this winter. And next year there'll be less dog fennel, and the next year there'll be less dog fennel, and eventually there'll be no dog fennel.
You just hear nothing but nature. This is so. Being in Austin, this is what I miss so much every time I'm back in the city.
Yeah, well, you'll see, you'll be struck by how many cattle are out here. There's probably 1,800 head total.